I would just love to hear from maybe 3 groups to give us a tour of your dream school. Tell us about it. Who's first? Yeah.
When we think about the physical space of the school, is each classroom has an outside space too. So each classroom has natural light, and if they want, they can step outside. So we said circular, so the whole building feels connected, or I said the Pentagon, but not quite so Pentagon-y.
Nice.
But just so because we're in wings, so separated from our other peers.
Everyone can come into the middle.
Would all be all equal.
I love that. Awesome. All right, let me hear from a second group.
I'll share.
Yeah.
We talked about ultimate flexible seating.
Ooh.
It's always been a dream of mine to just have lots of different types of options and
Amazing. Yep. No more kicking the computer and the photocopier to try to get it to work. This group over here had the ultimate flexible seating, which was a lazy river, so.
We're also looking at putting in a biodome, a beautiful biodome with a botanical garden. And lots of but we also said comfortable seating.
Amazing.
/ flexible.
Let's hear from one more, and maybe somebody who thought about what do the classes look like? What does the teaching look like? Anyone talk about that? Yeah.
We said small class sizes, first of all. Definitely maybe less than 20. Teachers that are passionate about what they do. Also, teachers that are valued in the community and at the school. Just an inclusive environment, kindness at the center, spacious classrooms so that there's, it's easier to do movement and grouping and all of that. Anything else?
Being fully funded, having access to all the things that we need or want.
Amazing.
Adding to that, we had student supplies were all provided to the students, so we don't have to worry about so-and-so never brings this, but it's also
They
never
just all
gonna
have
show
their
up,
things, yeah.
whether they can afford it or not. You don't have to worry about that. It's just provided to them. There's endless amounts of those types of things. Morning movement as a school, I was at a school that did this where the entire school, as an elementary, would come in at a certain time in the morning, so whenever their start was. And even the principal, everyone came into the gym, and then the PE teachers led basically Zumba. And so they taught the school these dances, and then they would do those throughout the year, every single morning. And it was for 15 or 20 minutes. And it was religious. There was not a day that they don't do it. That's what the school does. That's what the principal does. That's what the teachers do. And so they start with being all together as one, moving and getting their bodies woken up, and then they all go off onto their day. And they still have PE and stuff, but they just start together and mix the movement.
I love that.
And that works really well for us as well.
That's amazing. All right, anyone else have a detail you're dying to share?
We talked about multi-age learning, so based on students' interest and also their ability, not grouping people just by the age that they are.
And don't forget the smoothie bar.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be good too.
Free bar.
Oh, everything's free, for sure.
Yeah, don't worry about anything.
We're actually our sounds more like a resort.
Okay, I'm gonna land this plane a little bit. So I think these dreams can be really beautiful. They can be inspiring. One of the things that is helpful to me is to think about there's often a big gap between where we are now and where this vision is, right? If you rewind to this morning, we thought about how trauma shows up in our school. We're ending the day thinking about what would school look like if the world was really focused on equity and justice and healing. the gap between those two things can feel really big. It can feel really frustrating and crazy making and infuriating. And in a way, I want us to like feel angry about it, because from that anger, we make change, right? We say we want better. We can see what that would look like, right? Like so many of you immediately went to, let's be outside, let's have things be free, let's have care at the center of schools. Those aren't that radical of things. And even though maybe the full vision of what we were just talking about feels really far, there might be little things that you can do, like, you know, maybe I don't take my class outside enough. Maybe we could be doing more around meeting kids where they are, right? There can be little things we get started on. But also just to sit in our feelings about that gap and allow it to fuel our fire a little bit, so we really go out and make that change. Again, not from a place of let's put more on teachers, but teachers are powerful. We know our students, we know what it's like to be in school, and so we should be the ones leading change. I really hope that today you found a little bit of inspiration or strategy, or made a connection with someone that will fuel you going forward. Please reach out or come talk to me in a minute if you want a specific resource about something. I talk about a lot of different resources in my book, so if you look through that, there's a lot of book recommendations I make and websites. And I really hope to connect with you all in the future. Thank you so much for all your learning today, and Tanya's gonna wrap us up. Thank you, everybody.